Hello everyone, welcome to BISP Solution. So in our last session, we have completed with the basic setup of AR. So we have done all the setups. Let me just quickly revise with the heading, what all setups we have seen. Okay, so we have started with the creation of the responsibility in AR, assigning the same to user with the profile options. Then we have seen system options, auto counting rules, transaction source, transaction types. We have defined the collectors. Then we have defined remit to address when we have opened our accounting period in AR to record the transaction and receipts. Then we have seen how to give approval limits for an user. Then we have covered receivable activities. And I have also told you that if you are facing any error like party tax profile is not defined, then how you're going to tackle with that error so that you can go ahead with the receivable activity task. Then we have also seen how you can create a customer and customer site in the application. Then we have seen invoicing and accounting rules. They are basically for the revenue recognition purpose. Then after this rules, we have covered the concept of receipt class and method. And then we have also covered receipt source. Then we have seen statement cycles, then standard memo lines. So these were the basic setups in AR which we have done till now. So now today what we are going to do is we are going to cover all the tasks under the transaction in AR application. So I am just going to the application, and under the transaction, whatever task there is, like I have shown in this PPT, under transaction, there are tasks like how you can create a batch, how you can create a batch summary, how you can create a transaction summary, how you can create a credit transaction that is nothing but a credit memo against your transaction, original transaction, then how you can copy a transaction, then how you can create a simple transaction. So these are the tasks visible or available under the transactions in the application in AR. So we will go to the application directly, and one by one we are going to go through all the tasks, these all the tasks which are showing here in the PPT, and we will configure the same in the system. We will see how you can do the same in the application, right? So let's go to the application, login, and continue with our transactions there. So whatever setups we have done up till now, as we have done, as I have just quickly recalled all the all the setups which we have done, we are going to use that setup only in this uh, create transaction, copy transaction, create transaction, batches, empty, and transaction summary to create these transactions. Fine. So these setups are useful here now. So let's quickly log into the application with the user password. After login, first thing is to take our accounts receivable responsibility. Then here you can see setup, transaction, payment term. I'm just taking any random task that I can open my Java form. Then I will lead you to the proper place where we are going to perform the task. Okay. So just close this. Now under AR application here, you can see transaction is coming. Just expand this transaction. and all the tasks under this transaction are visible. First is creating a transaction, then creating a batch, then creating a batch summary, transaction summary, credit transaction, and copy transaction. We are going to see all these things one by one here. So first, let's see how you can create a transaction in AR. So just select this transaction, first one. A transaction window will get open. So first, we are going to give here source. So in our session, we have covered transaction source and we have also configured the same. So I'm just using that transaction source here. We have created with the name of EBS demo menu. Then class. So you need to give a class, what kind of transaction you are entering. I'm taking invoice. Then type, transaction type. Also we have seen and covered in our session that how you are going to create a transaction type. So I have created EBS invoice. I'm taking that. So basically we have done all the configuration with the name of EBS. So I'm taking all that only. So EBS invoice and legal entity is displaying by its own. Now the next configuration we are doing, next thing we are going to give here is the bill to, that is customer name. So we have created customer. I'm just searching it. EBS demo customer we have created. So you can see all the customer details got displayed here. Fine. So this is how your transaction you need to do. Now after giving this information, go to line items. Here in the description, we have also seen the concept of standard memo lines in our previous session, that how you can create a standard memo line. So we have already created one standard memo line. So I'm going to use that memo line only to create a transaction. For demo purpose, EBS memo line we have created. So this I'm going to give it here. Then quantity say 1 and unit price I'm taking say 200. It will automatically calculate the amount. Fine, just save the work, close it and save it again. And then go to this complete. It is like a validation only. Just click on this complete and you can see after going completed, all the fields got freezed and it complete checkbox get activated automatically. So this is how you can complete your transaction. And now you can see here incomplete is coming as we have completed it on this transaction. So this is how you can create a transaction in the application. Very easy. What we have done all the setups, like we have created transaction source, we have created transaction type, we have created our customer. Then after creating a customer, we have also created our standard memo line. And by using all the setups, we are creating one transaction here. Fine. So this is how you can create transaction in the AR. So this was it. This was the creation of transaction. Now we will move to this batches. So in batches, first open it. Basically, instead of creating transaction one by one can create transaction in batches. Like for a particular source, you can give a source, and one can under this source, one can enter the control count and amount, like how many. It's like a budget and actual, and in both, what is the difference you can see here in the difference tab. So you can just create one under control account of transaction and a total amount of the transaction here, and then while entering actual transaction you can see automatically it will reconcile, and if there is any difference it will give difference here. So basically it is for the instead of avoiding a transaction to be created one by one, you can create transaction here directly from the transaction batch basically. So how you can create a transaction batch is, first you need to give a source. I'm using EBS demo manual only, our source. Then give a status as open so that this transaction batch can be used. Just give it open. Then give a count. Say we are going to prepare 2 transactions under this transaction batch, and the total amount of these transaction will amount to say 500. Fine. Now we will go to transaction, and here you can see source is already coming. You just need to prepare your transaction under this. So simple, as we have already created one transaction. I have shown you how you can create a transaction. You just need to follow the same here. You need to give the source, class, type, build to, that is customer name, give line items in a similar fashion, which we have, and give here standard memo line. Say I'm giving quantity. We have taken 500, so say I'm going to prepare two transaction of amount 250 each. So I'm taking it 250 here. Save the work, close it. Just click on this complete and close it. Here you can see now under count control we have given 2 and total amount 500. Actual transaction it is showing as 1 and 250. Now difference is coming of 1 and 250. So basically it helps us to control that how many transaction you are actually entering and with what amount, and if there is any difference between this control and actual, you can very well see this in this difference field. Fine, and then again let's go to transaction and create one more for 150 amount. It is showing the already created one. Let's create one more under the source invoice, type EBS invoice, bill to, that is customer. We are going to give EBS demo customer. Go to lines, give quantity again 1. I'm giving unit price 250 only. Okay, just save the work and also complete it. So it's got completed successfully. Now you can see there is zero difference because our control is matching with the actual. So this is how you can create a batch. And when you will go to transaction summary, all the transaction which you have created under this batch will be visible here. We have created 2. You can see the 2 are visible here, which we have created. Fine. So you can see 250 amount, it's got completed. And if you want to see the detail, you can just select and go to open, and it will lead you to the transaction detail at the lowest level. Fine, so this is how you can create a transaction batch. You just need to give a source, open the status, give a count, and can enter a number of transaction according to your count and amount in the count in the control this field. And then you can, after creating, you can just see in the transaction summary all the transaction you have entered under this transaction batch. So this is how your transaction batch is created in the application. See? Fine, so now let's close it. So this was transaction batch. Now moving towards the batch summary, just select it and open it. So basically, if you want to see any already created one, you can just go to this icon of find and can find from by adding a source here, EBS demo manual, and find that if any field, if any batch is coming, you can see 2 batches are already coming here. It has been created. Now to so this is already created one. So I'm just showing you that if you want to see already created transaction batch summary, and also you can go to this find icon and search with the transaction source, and the transaction batch you have created will be visible here. But if you want to create a new, just click on this create a new, and you can see it will lead you to the transaction batch page only, where you can enter a batch, enter a transaction, and you can see a transaction summary as well. So these are basically leading to same thing only, but just the window is different. Fine. So this is how you can do. If you want to create a new transaction batch summary here, you can go for like EBS, give us source here, give a summer currency and status as open. Fine. And if you want to fill in the information, go to open and it will lead to transaction batch. Then you can enter transaction and go for transaction summary as well. So this is how you can prepare a transaction batch summary also. Basically, the three transaction batch and transaction batch summary lead to the same thing. You can, it is like you are going from lowest level to higher level. Just close the form. Like in this first thing, you are creating a transaction. Then in batch, you are creating a batch, and you are from batch you are entering this transaction. And under batch summary, you are entering a batch and transaction both at the same level. Fine. So this is how it's work. Basically, leading to the same thing only. Here is the smallest. Here is the lowest one. You need to directly create a transaction. Here under batch, you need to create a batch, and then you can go for transaction. And here in batch summary, you need to create a batch, and then under that you can create a transaction as well. So this is how this three works under transaction. Now moving towards transaction summary, is nothing but the transaction summary which we are seeing while creating a batch. So it is given a separate task also. If you want to see directly a transaction summary, just open it, go to this find icon, and let me search with my customer. All the transaction related to this customer entered here will be visible. So you can see these are the transaction which is visible, out of which currently which I have made are of this 250. You can see in today's session we have started with this amount 200. First I have created this transaction, then 250 I have created through batches, each this three transaction, last three lines. Fine. So this all are visible and the rest are created separately. So these last three lines we have created today in the session. Fine. So you can see this transaction here in the transaction summary. So basically what you can do is, if you want to see a transaction summary regarding a particular customer or source, you can come to this page and enter that customer and search for it, and the transaction related to it, all the transaction related to that particular customer will be visible here. And if you want to create a new, you can just click on this new, and it will lead you to the same page of entering the transaction. So basically, as I've already told you, it will lead to same thing, just the windows are different. Okay. So this is transaction. We have seen how you can enter a transaction, then how you can enter a batches, and under batches you can enter a transaction. Under batch summary, we have seen how you can enter a batch, and under batch this how you can enter a transaction, and then under transaction summary how you can view a transaction summary related to particular customer and all. You need to just go to a find icon and find that transaction. And if you want to enter a new, you can click on new. It will lead you to the same window of the transaction, and you can enter a transaction there. Fine. So this is the transaction batches summary and transaction summary. Now moving to credit transaction. Fine. So let me take a note of one transaction which we have created just now of amount 200. I'm going to create credit transaction against that transaction. So let me just make a note of that transaction number. It will be then easy to do a credit transaction against it. So okay, so let's take a note of this. It is 10020. Okay, so this is the transaction number against which we are going to create a credit transaction. Fine, 10020. Now let's go to credit transaction. So it is basically you want to create a credit transaction against your original transaction. This credit transaction, nothing but it's like a credit memo. So if you want to create a credit memo against your transaction, original entered transaction, you can use this window. So let me just search my transaction. So I'm finding my original transaction. So here you can see my operating unit, my transaction number, my source, legal entity, everything is defaulted. I just need to give a type here. Now here what type of transaction we are going to give now is the credit memo, because we are going to perform a credit transaction. So as we have seen how you can create a transaction type, so you need to go to the transaction type window and you need to create a type credit memo there, and you can attach the same here like I am attaching. Fine. So it is very important to go to transaction type first and create a transaction type of credit memo there, so that you can use the same here while performing a credit transaction. Fine. Now the next thing which you are going to do under here is credit allocation. Take a lines only, and you can enter a percentage or amount. If you will enter for a percentage, it will automatically uh, display amount here according to the percentage. So my original amount is 200. Say I want to reduce the liability of the customer by 50%. I'm creating credit memo 50%. You can see automatically 100 is coming under amount with a negative sign, because credit memo are used for reducing the liability. So it is coming here. Now go to credit lines. You can see here all the information is coming. Why it is giving all the information like this demo purpose and all? Because it is fetching the same from our original transaction, that is 10020 transaction number. Fine. Now after seeing credit lines, you can see this complete tab will get activated. Just just click on this complete icon, and when it gets completed, you can see under this complete checkbox, it will get activated. This complete checkbox will get activated here after completing. So let's complete it and see. It's got completed. Status become tab become from completed to incompleted, and it's got completed here. It's got it is done successfully here, and just close it. So basically now our liability, customer's liability, we have reduced from 200 to 100. Now let's go back to the transaction and check once what is the balance it is showing now. We have entered this transaction with the amount of 200. Let's see after creating a credit transaction against it, what impact it is giving. Okay, so here it is 100. Let's open this transaction. So now you can see it is giving 100 only. You can see that here it is giving 100. If you go to details, you can see original was 200 and credit is coming under minus 100, as we have created credit transaction against it. Fine. So it is giving all the details, and now balance is 100. So this is how you can create a credit transaction against an original transaction here. Now the next concept is of copy transaction under the transaction. So basically why we use copy transaction, we use it because it's let you automatically create invoices to your customer. Like for example, you need a bill your customer for service or product provided once a month for 2 years, but you do not want to manually create a new invoice every month. So by creating this invoice copy, you can quickly create a group of invoices that share the same characteristics. All of the dates for the copied invoice, like GL date, invoice date, are determined using the copy rule that you specify while creating this copy transaction. So basically, for avoiding a repetitive entrance of the same type of data, same type of transaction again and again, you can go for copy transaction, give a copy rule there, and according to that copy rule, your transaction will get copied in the application. So it will help you to avoid a repetitive task which is done manually basically. So you can avoid this by using this copy transaction, and you can create a transactions copy quickly by using this copy transaction window. So first let's go to transaction summary and let's copy one of the transaction again for which we are going to create a copy transaction. Let's take one transaction there. Let's go to transaction summary, click on the find icon, and let's find by the customer name. Let's take 100, 200, 250, or take this one 10021. I'm taking, I'm selecting this and clicking on this icon copy to, then copy transaction window will get open with all the information. Here you can see like operating unit, source, currency, bill to, everything which we have used while creating this original transaction. All the information is displaying and copied in a similar fashion here and displaying here. Now you need to create a rule for copying the transaction that you want annually, you want semi-annually, you want quarterly, monthly, bi-monthly, weekly, single copy, or in days. So basically, depending upon your need, you can create a schedule that at what frequency you want to copy your transaction. So let's say I'm taking a single copy. I want a single copy of this transaction 10021. So number of times will be 1. If you are going to take say weekly and monthly, like say if you are going to take monthly, you need to give number of times here, and it will be like monthly you're taking 12, and then you need to also give number of days. It is not coming as mandatory, but you need to give number of days. Basically it is a number of days between your copied invoice, from one copied invoice to another copied invoice, how much difference of days will be there. So you can specify number of days here. So right now I'm just selecting a single copy, creating a single copy. So number of times will be 1 because it's a single copy. And you, if you want, you can create a transaction number and all here, or just simply press Ctrl and S, say okay. You can see transaction number, or it will create automatically. If you want, you can create manually also, but if when you will press Ctrl and S, when you will save this, it will automatically display transaction number and transaction date, and all everything will get defaulted, like first transaction date and first GL date was so if you want to take as it is, you can take as it is. If you want your first transaction date other than this which is defaulting, you can just edit it. It is editable, you can edit it, fine. And after that you just need to save your work, and this is how your copy transaction is done. So actually I have pressed twice, I think, this Ctrl and S. So transaction number 10024, first it was displaying, now it is displaying 10025. Fine, let's just close this form and go to our transaction area, this transaction summary, and let's re-navigate and see whether the copy of the transaction is created successfully or not. To transaction summary, find the customer, okay, fine. So it has created with the 10024 only. Our copy is created of 250. You can see 250. So we have used this 10021 and we have copied it to another transaction. So this is how you can copy your transaction. So I have used single copy. If you want, you can go for monthly, quarterly, any frequency which is required by you, and give your number of period and number of days there, your first transaction date, what you want, save the work, and your copied invoice will be created accordingly as per the rule you are giving there. So this was the concept of copy transaction. Fine, so we have covered all the tabs under this transaction. We have seen how you can create a transaction batches, summary, transaction summary, credit transaction, and copies transaction. Let me move to my PPT. So we have covered all this under a transaction in AR application. Now, in a similar manner, under receipt tab also, you can see this task, like you can create a receipt batch summary, receipt summary, remittance, and remittance summary. So let's quickly go to the application and let's see all the six which are given under the receipts, this task. And let's go to the application, see how you can create all the things there. So you can see the receipt here, just expand it. So here are the tasks which I'm going to show you. So let's first start with the basic receipt. So one thing I want to add here is, while creating receipt class and method, and I think in yesterday's session only, I have not attached my bank account. But before creating your receipt, it is mandatory to attach your bank account. Otherwise, it will not allow you to create a receipt. So let me just show you my receipt class, which we were discussing in yesterday's session, I think. Yeah. Okay. Let me just find my receipt class, which I've already created. The name of EBS. EBS receipt class, which we have created. You can see we have created EBS receipt class. Then we have attached EBS receipt method to it. And in yesterday's session, I have skipped this bank account. But afterwards, I have configured it with all the accounts and details it was asking, so that it will not create any issue while creating a while booking a receipt in the application. So it is important to attach your bank account here. Fine. So let's now go to receipts. Let's cover first receipts only, that how you can create a receipt in the application. So whatever transaction we have created today, we are going to use as transaction and book our receipt. So we have seen in our setups how you can create a receipt class and method. So it is asking for that only. So you need to give your receipt method, ABS receipt method we have created. I'm giving that. Give a number, like I'm giving receipt number 5, receipt number 05, and let's say USD is we have created with the transaction of amount 250. So I'm creating a receipt of 250 only, so that I can apply that transaction against this receipt. Now you will go to this customer field and add your customer. So you can see when I am giving this amount of receipt 250, it is under unidentified. Why? Because right now I have not added my customer. Once I will add my customer, it will change balance from unidentified to on account. So let's see. Let's add our customer name. Sorry, on unapplied. So basically, for you will not add your customer. It will show under unapplied. Now, when I have added my customer, it is showing under unapplied. And when I will apply a transaction against this receipt, it will come under applied. So let's go to this apply and apply our transaction against this receipt. So we need to give a receipt transaction here. So let's take this 10021, apply it, and save it. You can see it has been applied and saved successfully. Just close it. Now you can see it is coming under applied 250. Fine, now save it. And this is how you can book your receipt here. Very simple and easy. Let's go again. And just check it once it is created successfully or not. It's fine. Giving the customer name. So yeah, we have created with the RN05, it's been created successfully. So for creating a receipt, you need to have your receipt method and your transaction, your customer, your remittance bank done. Because if you, while creating a receipt class and method, if you will not attach your bank under this remittance bank field, nothing will get displayed. And until and unless you are not going to specify this remittance bank, you will not able to create a receipt. That's why I was saying that in yesterday's session I skipped that, but you need to configure your bank account. They're mandatory. It is mandatory. Fine. So this is how you can create a receipt against a transaction. Now moving to receipt summary, like transaction summary, you can see all the transaction entered in one go. And a receipt summary also, you can directly see all the receipts there which are created against a particular customer or your operating unit. So what you need to do, if you want to create a new receipt, you can give a receipt number and receipt amount and then open. Then when you will click and open, it will lead you to the receipt window only, and you can give your receipt there. Normally, let me show you one. Let's say RN06 I'm giving, and say amount I'm giving 50, and let's open it. So a receipt window will open. You can see it will take you to the receipt window. You need to get other information here, then go to apply and apply a transaction over it. So it's same, leading to the same window. Fine. So I'm just clearing this field. Now, if you want to see all the receipts in one go, search for it. And under receipt summary also, you can view all the receipts created against this customer EBS demo. You can see all the things are displaying here. Your RN05 is coming here, which we have created just now. Fine. So this is basically the same as transaction. In transaction summary, you can see all the transaction and can create a transaction from that window also. In a similar manner, you can create receipt by using receipt window, or you can go for receipt summary for seeing the summary and can create receipt from there also. Fine. So this was receipt and receipt summary. In a similar manner, like we have seen transaction batch, there is a concept of receipt batch and batch summary also. Let's quickly create one batch and batch summary. Let's go to receipt batch. You can see batch type you need to give. I'm giving manual only. Fine. Then batch number you need to give. I'm giving batch 01. Need to give a batch source. We have created receipt source. It is asking for that only. So EBS receipt source we have created in yesterday's session. Give your currency. You can see as I have given the source, my receipt class method and bag got defaulted. Why? Because while creating this receipt source, I have attached my my receipt class method, and I have also attached my bank there. That's why it is displaying here. Fine. Now, in a similar fashion as we have given in the transaction batch, you need to give a count. Let's say we are going to prepare 2 receipt with the total of say 300, say 500 only, and we can go to receipt and let's create one receipt here like RN06. I'm taking as 250. Open. It will take you to the receipt window. You need to add a customer here. And then apply your transaction. I have changed my amount to 250 because transaction which we are going to apply against this receipts are of 250 only. That's why. And just save it. And save this also. Then close it. Now you can see your control. We have given 2 count for 500 amount in total, and actually we have given 1 250. So in difference it is coming, and we have applied this one receipt here. That's why it is coming under receipt. If you have not given the customer name while creating a receipt, then it will show under unidentified. And if you have given the customer name and not applied a transaction, it will show under unapplied. But now I have given both. I have given the name of the customer as well as I have applied against the transaction. That's why it is coming under applied. Fine. So you can create receipt batch like this. Let's create one more so that this difference becomes 0. The customer. Let's apply also. Save it. Close it. Close it. Now you can see difference is 0 and 2 are coming under applied. So controls is matching with the actuals and bifurcation of actual is coming here, that all both the two under actuals are applied status. So this is how you can create a receipt batch. Close it. Now going to the receipt batch summary. It will lead us to the same thing like we have seen in transaction summary. So let it just open. So here also what you can do, you can create a batch source. And when you will create a batch source, you can go for open. Then you will click on open. It will lead you to the batch window, just what we have seen just. And from that batch window, you can create a receipt and apply your transaction. So basically, what we are doing in the batches, it will lead to that window only when we are creating batch summary. So you can create a batch here by using batch summary. Like, let me show you one. Give a batch number like 001. And when you will click on open, it will lead you to the batch window only. What we have done few seconds back. It is showing you the same window of the batch summary. Fine. So basically, like we have seen in the transaction, in receipt also, we can create receipt batch, and we can use summary to see the directly summary of the transaction or receipt in one go. And basically, it will lead you to the same window. Like when you will click on the receipt, you will be at the receipt window. When you're going to uh, click on this receipt batch, a batch will be open. From batch you can go to the receipt window. And when you will apply this batch summary, you can create a batch, and after creating batch, when you will open, it will again lead you to the batch window, and from that batch window you can again go to the receipt window. So these are interlinked, just the navigation is different. So you can go any window, specifically if you want to see the batch, if you want to see the batch summary, if you want to see the receipt or receipt summary, you can go specifically to each window. Otherwise, all the things are leading to the same thing only. Fine. So all the tasks leading to the same thing only. Basically here, just the navigation is different. Now moving towards the remittance. So what is remittance? It is basically a transfer of money that is sent to transfer to the person usually living in abroad. So we can use remittance here. But one more thing before moving towards the remittance, while we have prepared our receipt class and method in our previous session, I have taken a remittance method as no remittance. So for that remittance receipt class and method, remittance can't be performed. Let me just take you to that page of receipt class and method. And let's find what we we have created yesterday. We have created EBS receipt class. So we have created this receipt class, and we are using this receipt class only up till now. But you can see I have under remittance method I have selected no remittance and clearance is direct. So for this receipt class, no remittance can be performed. So if I want to perform this remittance, then I need a another receipt class for that, because remittance method is no remittance here, so remittance can't be performed for this receipt class. So I have prepared one more receipt class for it with the name of EBS receipt 02. Let me show you. And I have given the method here as standard under remittance. For this receipt class, I can go for remittance. So let me take you to the remittance window. And you can see here, as we have created receipt class, we have created two receipt class, one with EBS receipt class name, another one with the EBS receipt 02. But when you will see, click here in the receipt class, here only EBS receipt 02 is coming. Why? Because for the first one, EBS receipt which we have created with the remittance method as no remittance. That's why it is not displaying here. So that's why we need another receipt class for the remittance to perform. Fine. So that's why I created this remit class and method for remittance type. And now I'm giving my bank and bank branch and account here. Now you can perform remittance by two methods, manual create and automatic create. I'm going for automatic create. The difference between the manual and automatic is like here you can see action of create, approve and format. In automatic you can enable this three option in one go and quickly create your remittance batch, but in manual you need to go through one by one for create, then approve, then format. That's why I'm going for automatic and enabling all the three options in one go and creating my remittance batch. So it's got submitted. Now you can close this and go to this view and request, because when you run a remittance batch, a request got run here. Just go to find and you can see it is running automatic remittance. Automatic receipt remittance. One report is generated here with the name of automatic remittance execution report. When you run it, you can see this automatic remittance is coming. Let me refresh it until it becomes completed normally. You can see 4 requests are running: recurring invoice program, automatic remittance creation, automatic remittance execution report, and print remittance. And all needs to be completed successfully. Just taking time. Okay, finally it's got completed. So you can see here automatic receipt remittance execution report is also generated here. You can go for view output and can see the output. So basically my report is not having any data because there was no data created in the application regarding this remittance. So the basic purpose of showing this process is to know you that how you can create a remittance. If you have your data, it will get displayed in your execution report. It is the fresh user which I have just created for demo purpose showing in the session. So there was no as such data for the remittance purpose. So therefore that report was not coming with any data. So I have just shown you how you can perform a remittance. It is very easy. You need to have a receipt class and method with if you have no remittance receipt class and method, it cannot be used here for remittance purpose, obviously. So you need to have receipt class and method for remittance purpose and give your bank account and can go for manual create or automatic create and just run the process, and then you can uh, view the process and view the request in your this view tab, and after getting succeeded with all the process, there were 4 process which were running, and when all the 4 will get succeeded, you can go and you can view your automatic receipt remittance execution report from there. Fine. Then there is one more tab of remittance summary. So it is nothing. It will lead you to the same remittance tab only. But if you want to see the remittance in one go, you can go to this find icon, give a remittance here as a batch type, and let's find. So you can see one I have created before session. So in session I have created this 1002. So it is displaying here. Fine. And if you will open it, it will give you the detail what you have created. Fine. So basically these were the things under receipts. Okay, so we have seen in today's session that what under the transaction tab, under the transaction, what are the tasks you can perform in the application in the AR. So all the setups which we have done, we are using that, and how you can create a transaction, batch, credit transaction, copy transaction, batch summary, transaction summary in the application. Then we have also seen how you can create a receipt, and I have also told you that while creating receipt class and method, you need to give a bank account as well. Otherwise, it will not allow you to go further with the receipt process. It will throw an error to you. So it is very important to give a bank account there. Then we have seen how you can create a receipt summary, then how you can create a receipt batch summary. Then we have seen how you can perform a remittance as well. My report was not showing any data because there was no data relevant to this remittance. But when you will do in the real life scenario, your execution report will give certain data there. And if there is something to display in that report, it will give that data there. Otherwise, it's okay, it's fine with no data. So, and then there was a remittance summary. And for remittance, it is very important to have a receipt class and method which allow you to perform remittance. Like in first place, we have created a receipt class with no remittance method. So it will not be helpful while creating remittance. So we need a receipt class and method for remittance separately. So we have covered all these things in today's session. So this is all for today. Thanks for joining.